Cleopatra was born in 69 BC in Alexandria, a city founded by Alexander the Great and situated in the Nile Delta. She was a significant queen of ancient Egypt and remains one of the most well-known women in history. Throughout her life, Cleopatra was a shrewd strategist, determined, intelligent, and possessed a vast fortune. The Greek philosopher Plutarch once wrote about her, "Her presence, if you lived with her, was irresistible." Cleopatra fascinated many during her time, and her life continues to captivate people today. Her story is widely studied, researched, and debated. To understand her significance, here are some notable facts. In a temple dedicated to Venus, at the request of the Roman leader Julius Caesar, who was Cleopatra's lover, a golden statue of her was erected. This statue reportedly remained venerated until at least the 2nd century AD. Interestingly, Cleopatra was also worshipped as a goddess, particularly as the new Isis, one of ancient Egypt's most important deities. She was also identified with Aphrodite, the Greek goddess, whose attributes were similar to those of Isis. Cleopatra was highly intelligent and received an exceptional education alongside other royal children. She lived in a palace where she learned to speak 7 or 8 languages, which greatly aided her in political negotiations. She was reportedly the first in her family to speak Egyptian without interpreters. Additionally, she studied philosophy and rhetoric, mastering oratory skills with appropriate posture, gestures, and a soft voice. Living in Alexandria, a major cultural center with the famous Library of Alexandria, Cleopatra had access to vast knowledge, which significantly influenced her cultural formation. Her intelligence and charm led her to become the lover of 2 of Rome's most famous generals, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. As is common with historical figures, much of the information about Cleopatra's life has been distorted over time. Although her image is widely recognized, many details about her true appearance and personality remain unclear. Coins from her time depict Cleopatra with a prominent nose and chin. The philosopher Pascal once remarked, "If Cleopatra's nose had been shorter, the whole face of the world would have been different," suggesting that her beauty may not have been as extraordinary as often portrayed. However, her charisma and intelligence far surpassed any physical depiction. Cleopatra belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty, which ruled Egypt for 300 years. This dynasty was marked by numerous family marriages and murders. Cleopatra was Cleopatra VII, with 6 other Cleopatras preceding her. She lived in a luxurious palace in Alexandria, with more than 100 rooms, beautiful gardens, statues, and fountains. The palace was expanded by generations of Ptolemies and was the most luxurious in the Mediterranean. Cleopatra's family was full of conflict. After her mother's death, her sister Berenice IV briefly took power, but was killed by their father, Ptolemy XIII. Another sister, Arsinoe IV, was exiled by Julius Caesar and later executed by Mark Antony at Cleopatra's request. Cleopatra also married her younger brother, Ptolemy III, who eventually tried to rule Egypt without her. This led Cleopatra to seek help from Julius Caesar. Cleopatra was forced to flee Egypt, but later returned with an army. Ptolemy XIII, advised by his counselors, decided to side with Julius Caesar instead of his rival Pompey. Pompey was killed when he sought refuge in Egypt, and when Julius Caesar arrived, Cleopatra cleverly gained his support by secretly meeting him. With Caesar's backing, she regained power. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar became lovers, and they had a son named Caesarion. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra returned to Egypt. She later became involved with Mark Antony, with whom she had 3 children. However, Antony's conflict with Octavius, Caesar's heir, led to war. Cleopatra and Antony were eventually defeated, and they both committed suicide. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the Hellenistic period, with Egypt becoming a Roman province. Cleopatra remains a legendary figure in history, known for her intelligence, political skills, and lasting impact on both Egyptian and Roman history.